What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to episode 8 of Betting the House. As always, we are live on the Alithio Network. Don't forget to check out their other shows like Chicago Hockey Radio, Forum Blues, Good Morning Hockey, Let's Cool One, and our newest, not from Chicago, but close enough. Like always, we're going to start with a layout of how we're running today. Thursday, like always, we're going to talk some NFL, some college football. We're going to bring up the WNBA Finals as well as the Major League Baseball Championship Series. But before I get into our recap of last Tuesday's bets, let's go with the gambling warning. The following content may discuss topics related to gambling. Gambling can be addictive and is not suitable for all individuals. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, help is available. In the U.S., contact the National Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org for resources and support. Illinois residents can also contact 1-800-426-2537 for local assistance. Please gamble responsibly and be aware of the risks involved. You must be 21 years or older if gambling in Illinois. All right, without further ado, let's recap Tuesday's bets. Over in baseball, Tuesday night, we had Yankees money line minus 172. That one really wasn't a sweater for me. That hit. Hell yeah, 1-for-1. Wednesday, Dodgers Mets over 7.5 at minus 110. It just barely hit. You know, I was watching the Liberty game, which we'll talk about next, and switched over to the Dodgers at the end. I think it was the bottom of the 7th. I think the score was 4-0, I want to say. So I was starting to sweat a little bit. You know, Dodgers hit another 3, make it 7-0. Sweating even more. You know, I walk into my room to grab something. First pitch that I'm not seeing, I hear the crack, the crowd go wild, home run, Dodgers, making it 8-0. It hits over 7.5 at minus 110 odds. The Liberty game last night, I had Liberty minus 2.5 at minus 114 odds. Oh my God. Huge sweater. Tied. Ionescu 3-pointer to win right at the end. So that hits minus 2.5. College football Tuesday. Troy, South Alabama, under 54.5 hits at minus 110 odds. The one that didn't hit was Western Kentucky and Sam Houston State, which I had at over 55.5 at minus 110 odds. They ended up at 45 points with a 31-14 final. Sam Houston State, 0 points in the second half. 2 missed field goals, a fumble, a turnover on downs, and an interception. Oh, it was looking so good. You know, they were at 31 total points at the half, and it misses it because of Sam Houston State. Whatever. NHL, Devils Canes, under 6.5 hits at minus 128 odds. Flyers Oilers, under 6.5 hits. Over 6.5 at minus 105 odds hits. The final score was 4-3 in overtime. Let's go. The two that didn't hit were Blues money line, minus 110 odds. You know, Minnesota just beat up on them. Final score 4-1. This marks every game that the Blues have had a multi-goal deficit in all 4 of their first games, which is, I think, crazy to think about. And then my second one that didn't hit for NHL was Chicago money line at plus 122. You know, they had several chances to break the 1-1 tie. You know, they outshot the Flames 7-1 to start in the second, but they couldn't figure it out. Flames win 3-1. Moving into soccer, Lithuania, Romania, over 2.5 goals, minus 108 hits. Final score was 2-1. Poland, Croatia, both teams to score at minus 130, also hits. And Spain money line at minus 320 hits. The ones that didn't, Portugal money line and both teams to score at plus 188 odds. They drew 0-0. They tied. Kosovo money line and both teams to score at plus 210. The money line part was right, but the other team could not score against Kosovo. Its final score 3-0. Denmark money line at plus 230 odds. They tied 2-2. They drew again. And then my final game, Mexico, US, both teams to score at plus 108 odds. It didn't hit. Mexico won 2-0. The US couldn't score. Overall, though, I believe we are 1 over 500 this past 2 days, which is fantastic to hear. We're trending up still, boys. Over 50%. That's all we need. All right. Well, moving into current bets that I've been thinking about. Let's start with the NFL. First game tonight, Thursday Night Football. Broncos in New Orleans taking on the Saints at 7:15 tonight. I have New Orleans spread plus 2.5 at minus 105 odds. The Broncos, they struggled on Sunday. Only 63 yards before the fourth quarter, 2 early turnovers. And even despite that late surge that we all saw in the game, I think there's a lot of doubt remaining still about what their road performances look like, especially with the short week that they have. Whereas the Saints, they started 2-0 this season, looked great. They've started to fall apart, injuries, Derek Carr, Taysom Hill, Chris Olave, Tyrann Mathieu, beat up 51-27 to Tampa. They have a lot to improve, and I think their future schedule looks pretty helpful for that. Anything you got on that, Raven? Broncos, Saints? Are you going to watch it with me tonight?
Maybe. The Saints are having a lot of, skill player issues with Chris Olave and another one of their good wide receivers being named out. Denver, one of the lowest scoring teams in the league right now, so they'll need to be putting up some points against a decent defense. I also learned this yesterday, which is a kind of a tangent, but something that's very funny. But did you know that the center for the Saints right now is the heir to a potato fortune? His father is a owner of one of the largest potato distributors in the United States.
Really?
And he just plays professional football for fun.
Dang.
So
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
Wish I had that.
That's a pretty cool life.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know his name by any chance?
It's I want to say Magellan, but I'm not sure. Let me double check that real quick.
Hell yeah. Well, he's doing that. Let's move on to some of the Sunday games, I guess. I think it's week 3 straight of having a game in London. Sunday morning, Patriots Jags takes place 8:30 in Wembley Stadium. I took Patriots spread plus 5.5 at minus 110 odds. They're both 1-5. The Patriots are rebuilding with new coach, rookie quarterback. So expectations haven't really been that high for them. The Jags, on the other end, they were kind of expected to compete for a division title, and they've been struggling. Trevor Lawrence off to a rough start. Yeah, what's up, Raven? Did you find his name?
I did get his name. His name is Connor McGovern.
McGovern. Sick last name, too. The McGovern Farms. McGovern Potatoes. All right. Anyways, Trevor Lawrence off to a rough start. Their offense, 22nd in points per game. And their only win was a pretty shaky one against a injury-ridden Colts team, to be honest. Patriots, blown away by the Texans in week 6. Their quarterback, Drake May, though, even though he's a rookie, he showed promise. 250 yards, 3 touchdowns. If their running back returns, New England can stay pretty competitive and cover this spread, I think. Moving on to some of the noon games. I've got 3 I want to talk about, and then I'll mention all the other ones just a little bit. Seahawks Falcons, noon in Atlanta. The Atlanta -3 at minus 108 odds looks pretty intriguing. They're looking for their 4th straight win. Cousins has this offense firing after such a slow start. Wins over the Saints, Buccaneers, Panthers. and a week 2 victory in Philadelphia. He's 4th in passing yards, especially with that 510-yard, 4-touchdown performance against Tampa Bay. Their run game also looks good. Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier combining 200 yards last week looks pretty good. Seattle, 3-3, struggled against tougher opponents, losing 3 straight by at least 9 points. Geno Smith, 6 interceptions and 6 touchdowns, and the Seahawks ranked 29th in rushing. I think they're very likely to keep struggling with this Atlanta offense, and I don't think they keep up, to be honest. Another game at noon, Lions-Vikings. I took the Lions, the Lions money line at plus 110 looks pretty intriguing, to be honest. Minnesota's defense is stronger than what the Lions have had to face so far, but Goff, I think, handles the pressure well and kind of thriving right now against the blitz. 70% completion rate and 12 yards per attempt. Their offense is clicking. Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta. Very good. Top-ranked rushing attack. Their defense will face a tougher challenge, though. Minnesota's defense will face a tougher challenge. I think I'm back in the Lions with this. I don't want to see the Vikings win another week, to be honest. Bengals Browns also at noon. I have Cincinnati minus 6.5 spread at minus 105 odds. The Browns 4-game losing streak, even though they're the hosts this Sunday. Deshaun Watson looks terrible. 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions only this year. Hasn't gotten to the 200 passing yards in any game. Plus Chubb's injury, and now Cooper's gone, traded to Buffalo. I think this team is going to start getting ready to feed a little bit, surrender and get ready for 2025. Maybe get someone new. Yeah. Other games at noon: Texans, Packers, Eagles, Giants, Dolphins, Colts. The one game at 3 I wanted to talk about was Chiefs 49ers. I like the Chiefs money line, honestly, at even odds plus 100. They're 5-0 going into San Francisco this weekend, and hasn't really been easy, but they beat teams like the Ravens, Bengals, and Falcons. Even with the absences of their running backs, Pacheco and Rashee Rice, Mahomes is still a top quarterback, and Kelsey's showing improvement. San Francisco, they've been struggling, injuries, inconsistency, losing 3 games, including to Arizona. Haven't beaten a team with a winning record, and, with McCaffrey out and backup Mason out also, or questionable rather, their offense, I think, struggles against Kansas City's defense. I think Kansas City continues their unbeaten streak. Last game of Sunday, Jets-Steelers, 7 p.m. I was looking at the over, which is set, I think, right now at 38 at minus 110 odds. Jets have been eager to boost their offense, and I think Devontae Adams very much so helps that. They're 1-4 in the red zone. They have managed 20 points against a tough divisional defense, and found some success in their run game. 121 yards on Monday night. Steelers, top defensive player. Their sack rate, 18th. Seems likely that Aaron Rodgers gets some more time back there. The Steelers face a Jets defense that's pretty good. I don't think it's elite. 19th in opponent 4th down conversion and 13th in red zone defense. With both of these guys focused on improvement, I think it brings a great show Sunday night, last game. Moving on to Monday, though, two games, Ravens, Buccaneers, 7 p.m., and the game I'm going to talk about, Chargers, Cardinals, 8 p.m. I have Arizona at plus 2.5 spread with minus 114 odds. Harbaugh has definitely turned things around for the Chargers. They're 3-2 and second in the AFC West. They allow the fewest points and touchdowns per game and rank second in limiting opponents' points per play. Their offense is pretty low scoring, 26th in the league at 18 points per game. They do excel very well in the run game and third down conversions. Facing the Cardinals on Monday, they definitely have a favorable matchup against one of the worst run defenses in the league. On the other hand, Kyler Murray, mobility and accuracy definitely presents a challenge to the Chargers that they haven't faced really outside of Patrick Mahomes. They're coming off a tough loss and already with wins over the 49ers and Rams. It's a pretty good buy low spot, in my opinion. With road favorites dominating this last week, taking the home underdog Cardinals looks pretty promising, in my opinion. Raven, anything you want to say about those games before
I
we move
need
to college
Kyler
football?
Murray to score me 100 points in fantasy this week to make up for his awful performances the last few weeks. But Chargers, I think they're still a long shot away from being the team that they believe they are. Going back a little bit, the New York Jets versus Pittsburgh game is going to be interesting just because I know there's talks of having Russell Wilson be named starter. I don't know if that's going to really change that dynamic at all, but at the same time, I genuinely think it could be a very good game. I think over 38 is a pretty solid bet just because those defenses are wishy-washy in the fact that they can be really good and really bad at the same time. But the two quarterbacks who are very, very talented and know the game very well, especially if Devontae can get out there for the Jets.
Yeah, exactly. He's expected to play, which could definitely make this a whole lot.
It does change the entirety of the bet.
Very
I think
true.
before, if you tried to take this bet without Devontae, it could be a little bit of a hard one just because they did struggle to get to 40 points in the entire game last week. But now he has his boy back. There's going to be that chemistry right away. Expect Devontae to go off for a decent amount of yards, but this also opens up the field for a lot of the other receivers on that team because they are getting such another good wide receiver piece.
Exactly.
But realistically, we could see the Jets win by 21. I'm not excluding that out of the picture.
Yeah, very true. Yeah. Which would be nice. Because any way you put that up almost is essentially enough for me, Except 21-0. But anyways, moving over to college football. I'm only going to talk about the games I noticed. So that was Thursday, Friday's games, and then one on Saturday. First things first, tonight, Georgia State versus Marshall, 6 p.m. I took the over, which was set at 51.5 at minus 110 odds. Crucial game for bowl eligibility because both teams already have 3 losses. Georgia State kind of struggled going 1 for 4 against the spread and allowing 21 or more points in all 5 of their games. Their only FBS win came over Vanderbilt, but they've been really inconsistent, and that's been plaguing them down, I think. Marshall, on the other hand, recently lost 24-23 to Georgia Southern after blowing a 3-score lead. Before that, 5-0 against the spread, including very strong showings at Virginia Tech and Ohio State. Even though they excel as the favorite, both teams have weak defenses. I think making it more likely we'll see a bunch of points. Second game, Boston College versus Virginia Tech, 6:30. I took Virginia Tech spread at -7.5 at -105 odds. Taking place in Blacksburg. The Hokies look to bounce back from a 3-3 start. Despite those tough losses, Vanderbilt, Miami, Rutgers, they're still a pretty dangerous team, I think. I think even though they're dangerous, they still have a pretty tough challenge on the road, especially in this night game. Virginia Tech's strength is their pass defense, solid pass rush and pretty good corners. BC definitely relies on their dual threat quarterback and veteran offensive line, though they kind of struggle to establish the run against Virginia. I think they take an early lead, force Boston College to rely on the pass and control the game on the ground. I think they cover -7.5. Moving on to the two games on Friday, I wanted to talk about number 2 Oregon at Purdue, 7 p.m. I took Purdue spread at +78. Plus 27.5 at -110 odds. Purdue hosts, and I think it was a classic letdown spot for the Ducks after their huge win over Ohio State. With them still celebrating and facing a short week of travel, spanning multiple time zones, I think Purdue has a great opportunity here. Big Ten teams, just 3-10 this season when traveling across 2 or more time zones for conference games. And Oregon also has a top 25 matchup with Illinois next week, which could definitely pull focus from this game. Purdue, on the other hand, known for upsetting top 5 teams at home, definitely showed a lot of grit and heart last week, rallying back from a big deficit against Illinois, scoring 40 points in the second half to force overtime. Even though they lost, the comeback definitely gave them momentum for this one. Oregon, stronger on paper, but I think Purdue's situational advantage and home underdog status make them worth backing here. Second game, Oklahoma State at number 13 BYU, 9:15 p.m. I took Oklahoma State covering their spread as well at +9.5 at -115 odds. Oklahoma State looks ready to bounce back after 3 straight conference losses, including 2 blowouts at home as they head to BYU, who's undefeated. Historically, their head coach, Mike Gundy, thrives as an underdog, especially in conference play. And the bye week came at a good time to kind of reset that momentum, I think. I think you can expect a quarterback change, with Rangel replacing Bowman, and focus on maximum effort with bowl eligibility still in play. BYU may be undefeated, but they've been outgained in all 3 conference wins and rank 83rd in offensive success rate. OK State's defense kind of struggles overall, but performs well in limiting opponent scoring when it matters. If the Cowboys can control the game with their ground attack, led by Gordon, I think they keep the score close. And then final game I want to talk about is Saturday at 11 a.m. when Nebraska goes to Indiana to take on number 16 seed Indiana. I have Nebraska again covering the spread at +6.5 at -105 odds. After the bye, Nebraska is 5-1, visits undefeated Indiana, who has just kind of dominated opponents, winning every game by double digits. Their offense, Indiana's highly ranked, but Nebraska's defense is kind of the toughest they face, 5th in opposing PPA and allowing just 2 points per scoring opportunity. I think offensively, Nebraska has been pretty steady, but kind of struggles to maximize scoring opportunities, averaging 3.2 points per trip inside the opponent's 40. If Nebraska's likely able to score and keep the game close, the Cornhuskers looks like a good value. Anything to say about any of that, Raven?
No,
No, I know. I always swing it to you, and you always say you hate it. Yeah,
I can't do college football, man. Nothing makes sense. Everything's different every week.
Mm-hmm.
If something that was a penalty last week won't be a penalty this week. There's so much at play, and to remember and point this out that these are still kids.
Very
a big
true.
part of it.
Very true.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things at play right now. It's week 8 of college football.
7.
I know it's week 7 of the NFL, but I never know if they're at the same.
Well, I guess it's week 8 because some of them have had buys. Yeah.
So, I don't know. At this point, it is, don't ask me how college football goes until the championship 4 are selected.
Fair enough. All right. Well, then I guess let's move into playoffs. For overall, WNBA Finals Game 4 Friday, 7 p.m. I took New York -3 again at -110 odds. I think especially after that, now both teams have come back from these huge point deficits. I think we're going to see a pretty even game. I don't think anyone's going to jump out to a 15-plus point lead like the other two of the 3 other games. But I think New York finally gets that elusive ring. Been there 5 times, haven't won it yet. I think they get it done. New York -3, -110 odds. Raven, you watched a little bit of that game with me. Did you want to?
I mean, New York was really slow. I mean, Breanna Stewart was getting the ball a lot, missing a lot of shots in the second and third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't even look like Enescu got the ball much in the third quarter from what I remember watching. The Lynx, though, one of their players got into foul trouble really early. I think it was 3 or 4 fouls by the end of the first half, which is never a good sign. The girl that was guarding Enescu, she had a really good quote in the post game where she was like, I guarded her for 40 minutes straight with, minimal impact in the game, and she hit that last shot. It's the same thing when we have these conversations about the NBA with Curry and Kyrie and shooters like that where, you can guard them the entire game, but those last minute, those 60 seconds are so crucial because they're going to get the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
I don't know. I think they're going to need to work as a team to not get into a 15-point, slump. And it's going to be a close game. I think it's best of 5 series. So New York wins another one there.
They win. They lift the cup. Yeah.
Which, Enescu getting, I believe it's her first one.
Yeah, it is. I believe she was drafted by New York.
So that'll be awesome.
Same with Breanna Stewart, who's the other big name on that New York Liberty roster right now. That's all I've got for WNBA, but last 2 in the Major League Baseball championship series is, tonight, Game 3 in the American League, Game 4 in the National League. Game 3 in the American League comes first. Yankees Guardians, 4 p.m. I have no runs in the first inning. Odds are -136. I kind of always thought that this series seemed pretty primed up to be low scores. And, the first 2 games kind of saw a lot more offense than I think everyone sort of expected. But I think tonight kind of brings the return of that low-scoring game back. I'm taking no runs in the first, mainly because I don't want to deal with all the uncertainty of bullpen choices and anything that happens later in the game. Cleveland's offense is struggling, and I don't think that really changes against Clark Schmidt tonight. They may not score that much, but I think their pitching has been pretty strong in the playoffs also, though. Boyd probably starts, and aside from a home run hit by Juan Soto, he's had pretty solid lineups against the top of this Yankees lineup. And then moving it over to the National League tonight at 7 p.m., Game 4, Dodgers against Mets. I just took Hernandez getting a hit. The Dodgers owe a lot of their postseason success to him. 33 years old, utility player. He's always kind of performed well in the playoffs, and, he's kind of surpassed expectations this year, I think. 7 hits in his last 19 at-bats. Solo home run to break up the tie in Game 5 against the Padres, followed by a 2-hit performance in Game 1 against the Mets. Game 3 added 2 more hits, including a home run, helping the Dodgers take a 2-1 series lead. 4 for 6 against the Mets starter, Jose Quintana. Couple of extra base hits. Given this form, I guess, backing him to get another at 130 is a pretty solid, or at minus 130 is a pretty solid choice. Raven, anything in those before we call her a day?
Is there a bet for Shohei with hitters and run scoring? Because if so, he's like 9 for 11 with runners in scoring position, but 0 for 21 otherwise. So,
all right. So you're thinking a Shohei RBIs bet.
I was gonna say maybe 1 or 2 might be worth just throwing it down.
Shohei to record 1 RBI plus 170. That's pretty good odds, I think, too. Yeah, you're kind of right. 2 RBIs plus 550. Whew.
Pushing it there, though.
Yeah. You got to get pretty lucky on that. So, yeah, that's all I've really got for today, guys. Don't forget to tune in for more next Tuesday at 11 a.m. on the Alithio Network YouTube page. Also, check out Alithio Network's other shows like Chicago Hockey Radio, Forum Blues, Good Morning Hockey, Let's Cool One. They're available everywhere. Audio for this will be available shortly after the live ends. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube or smash 5-star ratings and follow on Spotify and Apple Pods. Have a good one. Have a great weekend. I'll see you next Tuesday. Peace.